It's time for another episode of Tucson Means Business, featuring Tucson's top entrepreneurs and leaders in the business world. And now your host, Mark Bishop.
And welcome to another Tucson Means Business, proudly presented by the 49ers Golf and Country Club and that wonderful hidden jewel of the desert, the Rincon Mountain Grill. You can't miss it. Just go in the gates right there on the left-hand side. So thanks to the 49ers, we do this show where we uncover a lot of interesting stories and people in our fair city. And today we're going to be talking about the IFA. No, it's not the Intelligence and Federation of Artists or anything else, but it is a little bit artistic. It's the Independent Film Arizona, about to make a big splash and a big comeback in our city in a big way. We've been fortunate enough today to have some interesting guests from it. In fact, the president of the Independent Film Arizona is Genie Joseph, and she's here today, Ph.D. Genie Joseph.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All righty. And also, there was, Harry Walker was going to join us, but couldn't through illness. Sorry about that, Harry, at the last moment.
Yeah, he's
but
at the VA, hopefully.
Very nice of his David. David Gramling has filled in for him at the last second. And I guess that's what a good actor does, and a good improviser, and a musician, and a writer, and God knows what else, right?
Keep going.
Yeah. Let's just say that you can be called upon at the last minute.
Right,
Yeah.
he's going to be building sets for our next show.
Yeah,
Right.
fantastic. Good on you. And you're a builder by trade, right?
Well, I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm retired.
You're retired now. Thank you, David. Nice having you, David Gramling. And last but not least today is a young lady, a board member of the brand new board of the IFA, Laurie Rein. Hi, Laurie.
Hello.
And Laurie has, you've been on the board 3 years now.
3 years.
And 1 year serving as a vice president.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And she has a degree in dance and theater from the University of Arizona. But of course, U of A. Bear down.
Go Cats.
Go Cats. And she's performed in several theaters in Tucson, including the Unscrewed Theater, the Roadrunner Theater, and Gaslight Theater.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So we have a great three today. We're going to chat all about it. Now, I want to start with you, Genie, the president, if I may.
Okay.
You're an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and screenwriter.
I am.
In your past, and you've had an interesting career.
Yes.
When I really look at it, producer, director, I think it's KITV4, right?
Yes, the
that was the ABC affiliate in Honolulu.
Yes, Honolulu.
Honolulu. And is that where you got your start in television?
No, I got my start in New York City. I had my own production company in New York City, and we worked for, we did films for the New York City Office of Business Development and for Sports Illustrated, Time Inc., Jaguar Cars, BMW, all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe this domain is very close to your heart, Jeannie, as we got to talk about animals.
Yes, we are.
Which we want to have the devil-legged start up with the IFA, but because we have a beautiful little doggy. What's her name in the studio with us today?
Sophia's
gorgeous. What does it mean to be an independent film?
Yeah, well, so that's a great question. So when we talk about independent film, we generally mean people who are working outside the studio system, at least on the production level, meaning they might have created their own content, perhaps they raised their own funds, perhaps they made the movie themselves, and then maybe they entered the festival circuit or other means of alternative distribution. So it's a pretty wide range. In the early days when I was getting started, independent meant really fringe, but today's independent films can be $30 million films. It just means that they're made outside of studio funding or control.
Mm-hmm. Well, am I right in saying that there seem to be more of them?
Oh, yes. We are in a glory day. It's like the revolution for independence because there are so many new ways that filmmakers can get their films distributed. Dave will be talking a little bit later about our new IFA initiatives on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And there are just so many more ways that you can get your films seen today than ever before.
Well, if I can just...
Sure, by all means.
One thing that's changed is the technology has put the ability to make films in anyone's hands. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons you see so many films. I mean, it doesn't mean they're good films. That's what we're coming into play here.
That's what we're trying to change.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, when we talk about good films, I mean, but they're 5-minute films too, aren't they?
Well, everything. Today's world, there are 1-minute films, there are 5-minute films, there's 40-minute films. So the sky's the limit. In the old days, we had to look at either television studios or movie theater timetables.
Right.
So we had very strict ideas, within a certain range of a couple of minutes about, well, for example, like a sitcom was 22 minutes. It wasn't 23. It wasn't 21. So in today's world, with all this this alternative distribution, any length can work. And the shorter, the better for today's show.
Well, I'm surprised at a minute when you tell me a minute. What can you do in a minute?
Oh, so much. You can do so much. In fact, that's the best training there is. We recommend to our new and emerging filmmakers, don't think about a feature film as your first time out. Make an incredible 1-minute film that goes viral, that the whole world sees, and overnight you can become famous. Now, of course, that doesn't happen to everyone.
Right.
But it really trains you how to tell a story, how to make something work. In the short form is the best training there is. It's the best film school is to make short.
Well, you're president now of Independent Film in Arizona.
Yes.
You've been, Independent Film Arizona, it's been active in Tucson for over 12 years, right?
Exactly.
What do you see? Is the goal the same now as what it was or has been?
This is like Dave was saying, the technology is changing, the talent is changing. People are entering, like Laurie's going back to acting, at a different age than normal actors enter the business at 20 or whatever. So, I'm
she's
sorry, she's giving
30.
me a look here, but the point, she's giving me a harumph look. The point being is that the business is different and we have to change.
Right.
So we're redesigning our goals. We're really excited about 2020 because we're going to roll out some really innovative programs.
Well, I'm looking forward to touching on all of that. Now, of course, when you think about it today, there are more, is the word distributors, or more places for films to be seen?
Right.
So therefore, a lot more content is needed.
Yes. Than
ever before.
Yes, streaming, Hulu, Amazon, all Netflix, all these different, there's 270 different online streaming services in the U.S. alone.
Good, it's showing the gross, really.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting for filmmakers who maybe want to do more niche filmmaking, more specialized target audiences. They don't have to make a big tentpole movie. The reason why Hollywood movies are so expensive, an average Hollywood movie today can be over $100 million just for an average movie.
Right.
Plus it'll cost $100 million to market it. That means that they have to make $200 million to break even. So that means they're often making films for the lowest common denominator, whereas with independent films, we can say, I want to make a film for dog lovers, or I want to make a film for people who want to work with horses without the dominance model of dominance and control and fear. I want to work with gentle methods and so on. So I can make a film for a very specialized audience and still be very successful.
That's interesting. Maybe the big day has gone, Laurie, of the big blockbusters and so on.
I believe this is true, and to just go along with what Genie was saying, because there is so much work out there, and we talk about filmmakers, I think Genie was talking maybe about producers and directors, but the amount of work available now for camera people, editors, actors, everybody involved with film has gone way up. So this is a good thing.
Well, it's more opportunity, isn't it?
So much more opportunity.
Well, it's all good so far, what I'm hearing today.
Excellent.
It's all positive, isn't it?
We're the good news show.
Really is.
Yeah. But there's usually pros and cons with everything, though, David, right? And
I can be the devil, because look, my business. My music career went nowhere back in the 80s and 90s. We were passionate and
well, you're a musician.
I was a writer, singer, songwriter, original rock band.
What, a guitarist as well?
A guitarist,
okay, in the 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah, 83 I graduated college, computer science, physics. I never did anything with those degrees. I wanted to be a musician. So.
Well, there you go. See, isn't that interesting? But maybe it opened up your mind to create good songs.
Well, it did, but I won't get back into that so much. We weren't too smart business-wise, and that's what I think I bring to the table with the IFA.
Okay.
I spent the next 30 years. Okay, I wanted to make a living as a musician. Want and need is different. I needed to make it as a carpenter, then eventually as a home builder. And that puts you in a whole different mode because, it all fell on me. I had a crew, to keep them busy, so advertising, I had accountants, I had a bookkeeper. I didn't wear every hat. If I look at a director today, they're typically wearing every hat you need to wear, to do. Some of them are acting. I do this myself, and it's probably foolish. It's too much to carry.
Right.
So you try to monetize it, but no one has that plan. I've met a lot of people here, and that's the one thing I look at. It's the same as back in my music days. We loved our art. We jumped, all four of us. We were, head over here. We were in it.
Yeah.
If you asked us how we were going to make money other than playing out in, the dive bars, that's all we really knew. We were new. And so now with...
Were you not one of those great four groups, though, that wanted to be big one day and sell a lot of records?
See, that's funny. Everybody wants to be big. I mean, I always say to people, like, "Oh, I'm just doing this for the fun of it." I said, "Well, then why aren't you doing it just in your garage? Because it's just as fun there as it is in a bar."
It costs you money to get to the bar.
Well, yeah, well, exactly. I mean, right. I mean, it's so.
No, but you want to be heard by people.
If you have a performance gene, which I think is where it all starts.
That's interesting. Performance gene.
Right. And you have that. I walked away in '93. Our band broke up, and that's when I started my company for 25
the construction
years.
company.
Yeah,
right.
And I retired here in 2014 with my wife. We moved. I was just all upstate New York where I lived.
Oh,
moved here.
okay.
And I really wasn't looking to do anything in the arts. I started dabbling in music again with my old writing partner who's in Austin now. There's really no money in music anymore. It's performing it, not writing it. And I'm too old to be touring the country. So that's how we got into this. I met her in acting class.
Yeah.
He's referring to Genie Joseph.
Genie Joseph, right, sorry. And
it's radio.
I'm a visual media. Yeah. And interesting enough, in improv class, I saw her for the first time, and
Laurie.
she was hilarious. Laurie Rein. She was hilarious.
You shouldn't point. It makes holes in you.
I know,
You know that,
right.
don't you? Yeah.
I saw Laurie first time I ever saw her. She was the most free person, and I just was really impressed by her. And
Right.
I'm someone who takes charge. I started putting together, what could I do with this person? And that's how I got to this point, because there's other people in class that I saw, and I wrote a sitcom around a bunch of the people that I've met. And meantime, I saw where Genie was, and we started talking about the business. And I bring in more of a business sense that I don't care about the art. Everyone can make art.
But you are an actor.
Oh, I am. No, I mean, but I just,
You have acted, I should say, right?
yeah, well, not okay. Way back to drama class in high school, but I've been doing stuff now with her. I haven't. You might have had somebody in here and something else. I don't know.
So you haven't done any plays lately, or any?
No.
You've never had a lead in a movie.
I've done some stand-up comedy.
Oh, okay, alrighty, yeah.
That I had too many irons going. So we're
Actor,
trying to
writer, and a director, but mainly a good man with the dollar sense and pulls it together.
Well, I hope so, because that's what with this,
That's what
our
the
new
whole thing's
direction
about.
is. Right, is to
All right.
pool all the resources that we
Because
can.
it's a business, although you're not for profit. Right?
Right. Yeah.
The IFA,
is a nonprofit.
it's a non-profit, not for profit.
Right.
But you've got bills to pay.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's
nothing happens out of thin air.
Right.
You make it happen.
Well, right.
Right.
Well, that's what we're looking is the marriage of business and show here. So
Right.
we want to keep the artistic level as high as possible, and that's one of our goals with IFA is to help our filmmakers do the best work that they can do. So
How can you make money, though, IFA, to help others?
yes, well, now that's our plan moving forward in 2020 is to begin to do that. So step one is to create a directory, an online directory that all of our members can be on. So if you're a cameraman or an editor or a makeup artist or a carpenter or an animal wrangler, you can list yourself on the Independent Film Arizona Media Directory if you're a member. So to be a member, by the way, it's just $25 a year. So it's a great deal.
That's
So-
that's affordable.
Yes, for
Because let's face it, everybody's starving in the industry,
Yeah,
right?
everybody is, right?
It hasn't changed.
Right, but this is to help.
But that's a good idea. So, so I'm listed, all right? Now, then what? How do I get work?
So the next step is to come to one of our meetings. So, for example, just this week on Tuesday, we had our annual networking meeting. Everyone got a chance to stand up and do a 1-minute pitch.
In front of a camera.
In front of a camera. So we were doing live Facebook streaming. So Laurie wasn't feeling well that night, so she watched it at home. So this is a great example of that. So you stand up, you say, "Hi, my name is Genie Joseph. I'm an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker, and I am currently producing a theatrical play that I wrote here in Tucson, and I'm looking for actors to help me. And how I can help you is I'm a judge at one of the top screenwriting festivals contests. I read over 100 screenplays in a season, so I'm an expert at giving feedback. So I would say what I need and how I can help other people. We've had so many projects get started just from these rooms, just from people crewing up. Laurie says, "I'm an actor." Dave comes and sees Laurie as an actor. He gets an idea. He writes a part for her in his sitcom. And that's how it works, because it is very much a business of who you know. And you always want to work with people that you have a relationship with, people that you trust, people that you know will show up, people that you know will be reliable, people you can count on.
Well, that is important than anything, isn't it?
It sure is.
There's nothing worse than that. Now, Laurie, let's talk about you a little bit here.
Okay.
We always do.
Unscrewed Theatre was one thing, Roadrunner Theatre. These different theatres that you had worked at, what sort of plays, what sort of shows? Everything, I guess, comedy to musicals.
That is correct. Yes. I very much enjoy doing comedy and musicals. Haven't done straight drama theater for quite a while now. But yes, that is definitely my forte, and I love it and enjoy live theater very much.
And
film.
to survive in life, though, you're a health and wellness coach.
Yes, I am. I'm a health and wellness coach full-time and a personal trainer.
Well, that's important too.
Yes.
Because not only, if you want to be in this game, you've got to be fit to a degree.
Well, it's so interesting you say that, because every meeting, Genie reminds me that when you get up and introduce yourself, and not only you're a board member and an actor, but also I can help everyone in this room get fit for the next movie role. So
that's an important thing. Well, you hear about, when you read about, now, come on, I hope my memory's working today, but he won the Academy Award for it. He had to get really, really thin, extremely thin to play the part.
Edward Norton?
No, McConaughey, Matthew.
Oh, yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
right,
Dallas.
right, Dallas.
Thank you. Yes.
Everyone
right?
thought he was dying.
There you go.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
that's a hell of a feat to do
Oh,
that.
it is.
You can't do that overnight, can
Yes.
you?
No.
Yeah.
You have to work at it.
Right.
Then there's the other way.
Russell Crowe had to gain 40 pounds for The Insider.
Yeah,
And,
I just saw that the other night, as a matter of fact.
wonderful movie.
That wasn't bad, was it?
A very good movie.
It wasn't bad. I don't know if they got into enough of it, but still, it told the story.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is he had to gain.
Yes.
Now, how does one do that? They're not going to put stuff under his suits.
No,
are they,
you
and all
have
that?
to gain. I mean, Russell Crowe for The Insider, he used bourbon and cheeseburgers. That was his method. And he really paid a high price for that because it took him a long time to get his metabolism back in order. Laurie could help him. But
Hopefully they're working with a nutritionist or
Right.
well,
coaches.
usually, like Russell Crowe, he's a tough guy. He's going to do it himself. So he just did his cheeseburger and Jack Daniels, I think it was. But
Wow.
But he's had to get big for Cinderella Man. He's had to buff up, and in fact, he is so physically talented. The boxing trainer said that if Russell didn't want to be an actor, he could have had a career as a boxer. He's just,
Well, I know that because he comes from the back streets of Sydney. You see.
yeah, he's amazing.
I'm a Melbourne boy, but when I was in Sydney, there were places where we'd go and drink and meet all these guys. We were all trying to get somewhere in those days.
Yeah.
And the reality is, he used to love fights, I can tell you.
He's a fighter.
He's a fighter, so there we go.
The other people say is that if he hadn't had a career as an actor, he probably would have ended up in jail because he definitely has a temper.
Oh, well, there you go. Laurie, getting the best getting to the best you.
Yes.
Interesting name, because that is the title of your new book.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
and the guts of it is what?
The guts of it is it's geared towards women mostly over the age of 50, but a gentleman or a man can pick up the book and learn quite a bit from it. But it's really for women who want to start on a fitness journey or a wellness journey and don't know where to start, or for those who want to restart their commitment to a healthy lifestyle step by step.
And this is on Amazon,
It's
I
on
take it?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your favorite bookstore.
Yeah.
Anywhere
Did you
books are
get to
sold.
do one of those exciting things? I'd love to have done this. I've got a few things to do yet on my bucket list.
Yes.
And one of them was to write a book. But I just would have thought the signing and going from city to city would have been fun.
It's really the only reason that I wrote the book was just for the book signings.
And meeting people.
So
and
much fun.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
And I felt like a celebrity for 5 minutes. It was great.
Yeah,
Signed
good
my
on
life
you.
away. It was
Well done.
Thank you.
And getting to the best you. This is by Laurie, Rein, R-E-I-N. You can go online onto... God, everything's Amazon, isn't it? Amazon. Who'd ever thought? Amazon.com. But good old Barnes & Noble, right? So you can get the
Absolutely.
thing in your hand. You can look at it.
It's so
Flick
nice.
through it before you buy it,
Yes,
right?
that's right. Or, as I said, your favorite bookstore can order it for you.
Or they can order it for you.
Yes.
And you enjoy long hikes, so you've got to be pretty fit. You look pretty good. I mean,
Thank you. Yes, I love hiking in Sabino Canyon. It's my favorite activity.
Okay.
It's beautiful up there this time of year, too.
now, do you rescue animals up there too?
Anywhere I
It's
can
funny,
find them.
We're going to see the horses right after this show.
So you rescue animals too and make videos as well. So you have interesting, diverse. Interesting. Anything else, Laurie, you'd like to tell us?
Other than just, of course, working with IFA has been incredibly gratifying. I've met a lot of wonderful people. Of course, I met Genie at the very first IFA meeting I went to almost 4 years ago, right? And she helped me with some acting, but just the networking that takes place at our monthly meetings is just amazing. It really is.
All righty, now you've got a new place. We might as well talk about that. You're going somewhere, aren't you? To IFA's got a new meeting area now.
Oh, yes. We're really excited because we're going to join up with SACA, which is SAACA. They're at the Tucson Mall, and they have a new space called Catalyst, and they are really putting together all kinds of artists at all different levels, everything from puppeteers to...
I know I had Lisa Stirs on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Right,
She's such a talented talented lady.
Oh, yeah.
And I went out to the mall the other day to have a look to see her place, and I noticed the Saka area was all boarded up, not boarded up, but
it was closed up
in the windows. But I believe it's a huge amount of space.
It's pretty big. And then we're hoping to, of course, expand from there. But for this first year, we'll be having our IFA Independent Film Arizona meetings at Saka on Tuesday nights, the first Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. And it's free. I mean, that's what's so amazing. And every month we have an amazing speaker. So it could be, any number of subjects. We've had people talking about camera work, on how to use social media as filmmakers. We've had directors. We've had editors. We've had screenwriters. We've just about everything you can think of. We had the Screen Actors Guild Union come and tell us about how independent filmmakers can work with union actors. I mean, it's just everything that a filmmaker needs to know.
Speaking of unions, I saw The Irishman the other night.
Oh, isn't that something? Yeah.
Now that sort of, that was a bit weird.
Yeah. How'd you like that special effects making them look 40 years younger?
That's pretty cool. I mean, cool. And I think it's quite logical how they might have got rid of Hoffa.
It's a good story.
I'm not going to tell you, but that was good. But I love De Niro. I love his acting, always have, and the other fellow with him,
Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci.
I've always loved Pacino's work.
Yeah, me too.
But I thought he did a really good job. A couple of major surprises in it.
Yeah.
But it threw me because The Irishman. When I was in television in Australia, so it was some years ago, I was up in Townsville, and they were making a movie called The Irishman. And it was an Australian movie, and it was about a guy called Tom Dooley, who was the Irishman and so on. And I went to the set, I was there for the day and to do a documentary on making the movie. And when I first heard, here recently, The Irishman, I thought, well, the show's made it, or it's going to, at least I expected it was to be the one with, So you're a set builder, David.
She's joking.
That's because we're making him build the sets for our next show. So
all right. So
it's going to be his first time building sets.
Yeah, well,
it pays to know people.
Well, you're a builder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I retired, so I've basically done everything. And I mean, you need something welded. I have welded art at my house.
So you can do this,
I can do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the great thing about filmmakers. It uses so many different art forms. I mean, literally, you need carpenters, you need painters, you need seamstresses, you need makeup artists and hair people, and costumers and animal wranglers, and just about everything you can think of, every art form, musicians, musical score. One of the things we did in IFA, maybe Laurie will tell you about this, is we did a film called Zombie Nightmare, and we shot it right at the Tucson Mall. We're going to have our premiere of that over at Saka Catalyst in a month or two. So tell us about that. Tell us about Zombie Nightmare.
That was crazy.
I saw some pictures of that on your newsletter, actually.
Yeah.
So anybody listening now, if they want to, there's a new site, or we got the old site for IFA. What's the deal there?
Well, you can go to Independent Film Arizona Media Directory, IFA Media Directory, and you can see what we have coming up. You can contact us through that. And, the most important thing is just come to a meeting. Tuesday, 6 o'clock. First Tuesdays, we'll be down at the Tucson Mall at Saka Catalyst. And it's just exciting because
now just explain how to find it, because I spent quite a lot of time walking around that mall.
I know.
Where do you park? You think's the best spot, and how do you get up to it?
The best spot is to park on the lower level by Sears and J.C. Penney. There's an entrance called door number 3.
Okay.
So door number 3. If you go in door number 3, then you're just going to make a right.
Is Monty Hall there?
I was just wondering.
Right.
The first right and the first left, and you're right there. So it's just a matter of parking in the right spot. So ground level by Sears and Penney's, and it's entrance number 3. And then it's an easy, you'll find it. It's right across from Shoe Palace near Harley's Comics. And Harley's Comics is one of the stores that we featured in Zombie Nightmare, because the story takes place in Zombie Nightmare. Dave is going to be editing this project, and we're really excited to show it, because we had over 200 people, high school students, adults, everyone.
Cool. So you're an editor as well, David?
Yeah.
You're going to be editing this. This is video, right?
Video editing,
well, I've always been hands-on, so when I got in this, I bought all the editing equipment. I ran a 16-track music studio for 12 years. And I had,
good man to know here.
So basically,
good man to know. See, it's all about who you know, right? I mean,
well, it is.
Dave
didn't
know. I say when people walk in to IFA and they say, I'm retired, it's like, uh-oh, get that one,
All right, we talked about what does it mean to be an independent film. There's something bugs me. I wanted to know. What is the today issue with being a union or in a union or not in a union?
Yes.
Or I can work in Arizona without having to worry about a union.
Yeah.
Or if I do, I'll end up like Hoffa. What's the deal?
Yes. Well, of course, it depends the city you're living in. So if you're working in, Los Angeles, you have a lot more stricter rules about union, although there's a lot of non-union work everywhere.
This is to be an actor or anything?
Anything.
Whether you're building a stage?
Yeah, everything. Exactly right.
Oh, okay.
But here in Arizona, it's called a right-to-work state. So that means that you have the option of working as non-union, and producers have the option of shooting non-union. So there are advantages and disadvantages, obviously, to working with unions. I mean, when you're working with unions, you're often working with very highly skilled people. And so you have that sense of comfort that you're going to get professionals who've had that experience. They've paid their dues, and they're not learning for the first time. But in IFA, of course, we are saying to someone like Dave, hey, I know you never edited anything before. Would you like to edit Zombie Nightmare? So
Yeah, right.
a lot of people are getting their first break. So Arizona does give you the opportunity of working both ways. So we have projects that we're going to be working on where we will be working with the Screen Actors Guild, for example, and other projects that we will be working on that'll be non-union. So we do both.
Okay. So if I was in Hollywood and I was waiting tables and I wanted to be an actor, and all of a sudden
Like
I got
John
this
Hamm.
opportunity,
Yeah.
would I be asked the question, are you in the union?
Absolutely, you would be.
Because, well, no, I'm not. Well, then I'm sorry, we can't hire you.
Right. So there are cities where, like LA, where it really, you want to make you do everything you can
like
to
that.
get into the union.
Okay, all right then. Tucson has a huge history of film and TV.
You bet.
I think at the
Old Tucson Studios.
yeah, I mean the names that have gone through there,
Oh,
the
my God.
people.
Everyone. John
know,
Wayne and
yeah.
every name you can think
The
of.
Duke. I grew up loving that guy. He was my hero.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Big
so many
John
people.
Wayne.
Yeah, so many people. Well, it's funny now because we're doing a show called Giddy Up, and we're going to be calling upon a lot of that old Western.
All right.
And the show takes place.
Cool.
The characters, some of them think they're still in 1861.
Yeah.
So it actually takes place in present day, but the actors still think they're in 1861. So they're still carrying the guns, wearing the cowboy hats with the spurs and the stunts and all that good stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. The purpose of independent film, in a nutshell, is to encourage talent.
Encourage, support, and educate, nurture filmmakers to thrive in an independent environment. So this is very much about get out there and do it yourself, but learn your craft. So we say get the feedback from people who can really help you, because if you're just
Right.
making films in your garage and you show it to your mother and your friends, you're not necessarily going to go to the next level in terms of technical accomplishment. So we say go out there, do it, try it, but then also bring it to an IFA meeting, show it to us, get the feedback of professionals, and get better, and your next film get better, and your next film get better.
And so on and so on.
Yeah.
So what are some of the workshops this year that you've offered from IFA?
So Genie has an incredible talent of lining up some of these speakers that we have. Some of the ones that we've had twice now is a gentleman by the name of Darius, who is a YouTube sensation, started out here in Tucson. I think he has over 2 million followers now.
10 million.
Oh my gosh. Okay. He's
Well, that is over 2 million.
okay.
Yeah, right.
All right. 10 million.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So
Very bland, this guy.
And every time you talk to him, it goes up. So the last time was 10 million.
But what does he do?
He's
What did he do?
amazing.
Oh, is that the guy with the long hair? The model type fellow? No?
Darius actually
He teaches at UA. Yeah.
he teaches at UA.
He's a UA graduate.
He's a UA grad of film.
He's just a genius.
Making videos on a shoestring budget is what he teaches.
Right.
We were talking about earlier about 1 minute
Yes.
videos or 2 minute. That's his specialty.
Okay.
And he's amazing.
Yeah, one of his philosophies is what he calls resource filmmaking, meaning if you're someone like I have a friend named Mark, and he has a radio studio, so I'm going to shoot a story that takes place in a radio studio with this wonderful guy named Mark who's got this great accent. He's going to be the star. So you start with whatever you have. I've got dogs and I've got horses, so I'm going to,
Okay, you start with what you have. That's an interesting.
Yeah. So that's one of his big ideas is just, start with what you have right in
Work with
front
what
of you.
you got, as it is.
We also
because
have-
let's face it, since YouTube came out, I mean, some of the stuff that is on it And you wonder how on earth millions of viewers would even bother. But it just goes to show you that everybody is unique and different. And some young kids at 13 have got up there with a way to put mascara on that's different. and I mean, next minute they've got 5 million damn viewers.
I cannot remember her
that
name.
idea didn't float when I tried it. I don't know what that is.
The CEO of YouTube was on a TV show, morning show, a couple mornings ago, and honestly, she said that they had 8 billion videos that get uploaded every day. That her staff.
Oh, that was on 60 Minutes the other night.
That's right.
Yes, I saw that.
That's what it was.
I saw that. I didn't like her much. I thought she was very reserved and she didn't let much out of the bag at all.
No, she plays it close to the vest.
Didn't she? But they're huge now, aren't they? In fact, it's bigger than Facebook, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's
as
huge.
far as people, looking at that.
Facebook is trying to compete now, getting in. That's why they're doing the live streaming.
Right.
But one of the things about Darius was I used his video. He has a wonderful video on theme, how to help students understand theme. And I used that in my college courses with my film students. And that's how I knew him. Even before I moved to Tucson, he was part of my academic curriculum because this video was so good. Because in 5 minutes, he helped students really understand what theme is. And, this is just amazing. Even though it's a very specialized subject, but it can do so much to help people who really need to understand a specific subject. So being narrowcast in YouTube is one of the secrets.
Very interesting.
Very focused.
YouTube is, there's a lot of filmmakers that's their goal. They're going to stick something up on YouTube. And the thing about, I don't know if you know much, but a lot of filmmakers will crowdsource to do and whether it's a short or a film.
Right.
So they raise $10,000 and, they get done after a year and a half because it takes a long time to do an amateur film. Everyone's got jobs.
Right.
And they have no idea how to promote it. And so I say to these people, if you stick that up on YouTube, 500 hours every minute.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
My goal is to do that.
Yeah. But then how do you promote it, Mark?
Well, that's it.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
You need money.
More than anything, I've always wanted to host a good game show in America or just host a really interesting, diverse show. Right? And maybe even a talk show, but something a little different. And everybody I've talked to now after 6 years here this time around, all they say is YouTube. YouTube. Right. Why? Because, if it's good enough for those others to get discovered, which all those guys that are doing Tonight shows and God knows what, right, all came out of YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Oprah started on cable access TV, and I did too. I mean, I wouldn't say I started there, but I had a cable access TV show for 6 years where I interviewed hundreds and hundreds of guests. Yeah. And I also did a radio talk show. So in this, relatively smaller market, Honolulu, but that's how you get your training. You just want to get on the air and watch yourself and get the feedback and see what people like and see what gets the comments. And that's what Darius is so good at. He does what's called pivoting, meaning he'll have an idea, he'll try it out because he's got 10 million subscribers. He can tell within minutes if an idea is a hit or not.
Right.
And he can decide, okay, I'm not going to do any more of this or I'll do some more of that because he's getting that instant feedback.
So he's got an immediate test market, basically.
He's got an immediate test market. And, in Hollywood, that's one of the most expensive things there is to do these focus groups to get the right people in to see your film. Because if you ask the wrong person, like if I made a romantic comedy and I show it to a bunch of bikers, they're going to say, this is dumb, this is boring, where's the action, right?
I didn't realize focus group. I knew in sales and marketing I could understand the reason for focus groups.
Yeah.
But I never realized for film.
Oh, and if you're working in the studio system, you are focus group, focus group, focus group.
Wow.
And it's very important that you ask the right questions. And this is why many movie endings get changed, because the focus group says, I don't understand the ending, or I didn't like the fact, why did he leave the cat?
It's rewritten then. Mm-hmm. Or don't tell who murdered too early, or something like that. Isn't that amazing? Did you know that, Laurie? Focus group. What are you laughing at? Interesting. We've talked about the long-range goals, and we've talked about the stuff. What are you going to be doing going into the new year? What are you going to be doing hands-on with different sessions and training?
Yes. Well, one of the things we want to do, and Dave will tell you a little bit about our new YouTube channel, is that we really want to encourage the filmmakers to work in the short form. Just about everybody I know is trying to do a feature film, meaning a full-length, 90 minutes, full-length story. And we want to say, if it's your first film, consider making a short film. Mm-hmm. Consider developing a following, test test the audience, test your characters, test your storytelling, test your technical skills, and then think about going to long form. So, Dave, tell them about our new channel.
Yeah.
My thought when I spoke to Genie about a month ago about joining the IFA was that we need to have a place, not just for you say YouTube. Anyone can put something on YouTube. That's not how you become successful. You need to get it up there and get people to see it. So we thought we'd start a channel, IFA network, IFAN, is what that stands, and get other, not just I'm a director, get some other directors, writers. We need to pool our resources so we can fill that channel up with content, but good content. We went to the short term just because it's, like I said, I know someone who did a full-length film here. It took them 90 minutes. A 90-minute film took them a year and a half.
That's a hell of a budget.
It's
a lot of volunteer work.
It is. It's all volunteer. And this is one reason those films are tough. It takes so long, and heck, your lead could decide he can't make a living, or he moves to Houston, and now everything's gone. So we wanted short form.
So this channel really could be like a front store,
right,
exactly.
of all talent coming out of IFA Arizona.
Think about NBC. You go, at night. There's a bunch of things there. They're not all NBCs. Production companies are spread all out, but they got licensing deals. Here they are. IFA is kind of going to do the same thing. Where we are going to, her and I, maybe Laurie, we'll have some other people, but we're going to vet it. It's not like you can just put it up there. You got to send it to us, and we're going to see if the quality's right. Because bad videos better. It's better to have no video. So. And that's only one aspect. The other aspect is how to advertise this, and this is what we're going to talk to local business. Like for instance, I could write you into my script. You want to get. I'm not going to talk advertising right now, but you're a car dealer. Well, I could use a car in this one thing we're doing. You put it in there, I'll make sure that thing gets shown every episode. It's your vehicle. We can make. We have the ability. We have the actors. You want a TV ad? We can do you a TV ad. Maybe that's something we'll do for you to advertise billboards, or we're putting all that together. We're trying to get enough, sponsors that this gets out there. And back in my music days, the consultant in New York said, "You want to become the big fish in a small pond." In a world forum, Tucson is a small pond. YouTube's worldwide. I like to get at that. If I walked around in this town and asked someone, "Hey, have you heard of this?" "Oh yeah, that's funny." They've seen one of our projects, and if they're watching that on YouTube, then obviously those views are showing up. It's everyone's gonna, it's I won't say it goes viral, but you like what you're saying. You go, "Hey, you want something funny? Check this out," and that's how you grow it. And if we can get enough people coming in to the IFAN network or IFA network. Advertising will start worldwide. Will start coming in. And that's how all these people make money. It's not, they just do their thing. And
seems a long way away from now, but things could happen quickly.
Yeah. Well, it can. It just depends. You just need one project that takes off.
One thing that's so funny that goes viral, and then
do you think it has to be funny?
Well, funny is one of the fastest ways to, of course, if you've got
against drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funny is the leading. If I think for movies anyway, 35%. That's. What kind of movie would you want to see? 35% say comedy.
Really?
And that's the highest one. It works its way down. Like horror is 9%. So, a lot of people do horror movies because they're pretty easy in a way. You can, make people look all beat up. There's makeup artists. But you're shooting at a very small, demographic. Right.
Well, actually, horror is really important in the independent field because that's, for the most part, studios do not do horror. So it is the domain of independence, and that's one of the reasons why we did Zombie Nightmare is we do want to encourage Tucson is an excellent location for making horror films. We have so many, the desert, so many different looks in southern Arizona. So horror is really important. But again, we're really encouraging people to do the shorts. That's why we did a 5-minute film called Zombie Nightmare.
Interesting. I go back some 16 or 17 years ago on first coming to America. I hadn't done a lot in Australia on acting, but I did have a lead in a student movie. And I was a face in the wall, and man, it was murder because all they did was chop out a hole in this concrete wall that I had to put my head through.
Yeah.
And then the sheet was over the front of their head, so I was the guy. But when I was stuck there all day, I could tell you, the neck at night was, and that's their sets. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes.
But God love it, that was good. And some stage plays and Mr. Interlocutor and all that sort of jazz, bit of singing and that. It's ironic that, wanting to be an actor as a kid, because you know what it's like, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, I want to be that. No, I want to be an actor no matter what. That was my goal as a kid, the first thing I remember. And I got to America, and you're never going to guess the closest thing to the industry I ended up doing. On the phones trying to flog investors to buy into movies.
Oh, yes.
And it was tough because my very first one was the project. Remember the guy that did The Howling?
Yes.
Now, that was a very low-budget film, but made a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
So he was doing another one. So this guy gave me this job, and I sat in this booth with penny stocks, people who did penny stocks. And you're phoning them, trying to get them to invest in a movie. That was my first gig in America.
That is
I got to
such
tell
good
you.
training. And
oh, my God.
If you ever want to do it again, we
I
could
got
use
news
you.
for you, and it's screaming headlines, and it's all bad. Oh, you're
That's the
listening
hardest
to
job.
Tucson Means Business, and we have wonderful people, leaders and inspiring women and so on, and the IFA is no different. But we're very fortunate because without the 49ers Golf and Country Club that have been here for years and now been redone beautifully, and you wouldn't know it, but also the wonderful Rincon Grill, thanks to the club that support me and this channel and our podcasts, which have a global footprint. And this week I was very excited to be told we have now over 10.5 million downloads in the last 18 months, which is pretty exciting. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's very good.
Nice. Yeah.
So thanks to the club. And it's right now we're just going to take this short break. One of the things that the Rincon Mountain Grill is certainly becoming famous for now are the wine dinners. But there's not just wine dinners. There are beer dinners as well. Mackenzie Taylor, how do you do the difference?
So I am so passionate about our wine dinners and our beer dinners, and they are so much fun. Wine dinners are very, very different because they're very white linen feel. We've got 6 courses, traditional, soup, salad, amuse-bouche, which is that chef's one bite to start the dinner, and pairings that are just amazing and fragrant and different. Our beer dinners are so much fun too because they are much more relaxed, much more casual feel, but partnering with local breweries, Arizona breweries, and so much fun. Really, it's called Beer and Bites. So it's much more of that kind of snacky feel to it, but with an elevated palate.
And yet it's a dinner.
Absolutely.
It's
a
overall
total dinner. You will go home full.
The wine dinners I have experienced myself. They're very, very nice. And you're rather choosy. You pick specific wines that are going to go exactly with what you're going to cook.
Absolutely. Yes.
On that particular dinner. Give us an example.
Well, we research our wines. So we have vendors come in every other week, and we do wine tastings to figure out what families of wine we want to work with or what theme we want to play off of. So, for example, we're doing a Taste of Italy wine dinner, and I'm very excited about that.
Okay. Now, these dinners, by the way, I think they're every 6 weeks, aren't they?
Yes. Every
so
6
anybody
weeks.
listening can just call the club and get an idea when the next one is on. It'll probably on the menu on the website anyway.
Yes, it's on the website. It's on our Facebook page. And you can absolutely call the club and get more information for them as well. But yeah, they're really something that we're trying to do more frequently because we have the demand for it. People are excited. People want to do something special. And it's a great date night. It's a great get together with friends.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. Everybody's really smiling and laughing, and they leave full. So
And the service, well, I mean, that's good too.
Yes, the service is phenomenal. Really have so many people trained on our wine dinners, and we train them specifically for wine dinners and beer and bites as well. So they really know what they're pouring. They know the flavor notes. They know what we're doing.
Mackenzie Taylor is the executive chef of the Rincon Mountain Grill, situated in the 49ers Golf and Country Club on Tankerverde Road. On the right-hand side, past the Emily Gray School, on the way to Reddington. You can't miss it. She's also the food and beverage manager. Henceforth, she knows what she's buying, I gather.
I do. I do my research for sure.
That's terrific because the place is becoming very famous thanks to you. You're doing a wonderful job. And these dinners, well, they can be. They're great date night dinners. They can be a birthday.
Oh, absolutely.
They can be any form, maybe an anniversary celebration.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
And not only that, but I think there's discounted beverage in as well, discounted wines that the patrons can take home, can't they, from these vineyards?
Yes, you do get a great deal if you order wine while at the wine dinner. So we have all of our vendors from that specific wine company there, and they actually educate you about the grapes and the way that the wine is made, which is amazing. So it's really a dinner that has to do with pairings, but you learn. You leave with more knowledge about the wine that you drank, and then you can purchase that wine and entertain with friends and educate them about it and really know what you're talking about and really know what you're tasting, and that's very, very cool.
So maybe there are more wine drinkers in Arizona than first thought.
I'm hoping so. I'm going to turn some people into wine drinkers. That's my plan.
You're doing a wonderful job, Mackenzie Taylor. Thank you for spending the time with us on Tucson Means Business.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you. So we're talking IFA today, and in the remaining minutes, is there anything special that you really want to get out that's important about the IFA that people may not realize?
Well, we want to say to everyone, come on down to a meeting, because that's really the first step, is just come in, show up, tell us what you want to do, and make friends with other people, team up, because this is a collaborative art. And there's a lot you can do alone, but there's so much more you can do if you work with others.
But who someone team, they say, well, but I'm not an actor. I don't want to be an actor.
That's okay.
Fine. What are we talking about?
Everything. If you want to make the coffee for people, if you want to do makeup for people.
You just would like to be associated or involved somehow with the creative art of filmmaking.
Right, and it's all ages. I mean, we have seniors. We have one guy, he came and said, I want to learn how to be... I mentioned at one IFA meeting, I said, Tucson has a shortage of boom operators. Boom operators is the person who stands there and holds the microphone pole. Okay?
And some movies, you just see it drop an inch and it goes back up again.
Right, exactly. So here's a senior, and he said he wanted a new career. He started with us. He's been coming to our acting class, and we've been videotaping the scenes, and he's been our boom operator. So it's just as simple as that. You decide, I have a passion for this. I want to help. I want to get involved. So get involved.
Okay. What a lovely invitation that is out there. Look, if you mightn't be in the motorcycle club, you mightn't be in the car club, you mightn't play football, golf. You may just be all alone and don't need to be. But you've always been interested in books, maybe, or you're a dreamer or film. Hey, you don't have to be. Come along and make the coffee. Come and meet some new wonderful people, because they really are, aren't they?
We have several film buffs who come to the meetings just because they love being around film and what happens and what goes into the making of a film. I think what I love most about IFA, I have to say, is the education part, because first of all, and also just the networking, but every meeting we stand up, we say who we are, this is what we do, we're an actor, we're a director, editor, whatever. So we get a chance to introduce ourselves. But we always have these wonderful speakers every week. As we mentioned, we have Darius, we've had stuntmen from Old Tucson come out, we've had editors, screenwriters, people from SAG. Recently, Genie got together with Linda Seeger, who is a script consultant. Yeah. Fabulous.
She's like a guru.
Really?
Guru of screenwriting.
Right.
So we had people kissing the ground as she walked in the room,
It's
okay, superstar, huh?
So it's not only networking, but
it must be interesting to think about. I mean, you read a book, and they make a movie of the book.
Yeah.
But you just don't take the book and make the movie.
That's right.
There's all the steps in between, and the screenplay writing, and this and that.
Well, it's funny because this January, I'm going to be giving the first talk of the season. I'm going to do the launch talk, and it has to do with story, style, and substance, and how you balance those three elements. So it's the first important question a filmmaker has to ask themselves is my priority the story, the telling of the story, or is it the style of how I tell it? And sometimes you have a balance between the two, but those decisions will affect everything about how the actors dress, how the look of the film, the lighting, the camera work, the editing, even the style of music. So by getting clear, we're going to talk about the four main styles of filmmaking, and most people don't know this stuff, and this is from my university course. So I'm going to take an entire 10-week university course and reduce it to an hour's talk, and it's a great way to really understand.
Can you do that? I mean, 10 weeks to an hour.
I've done it before, so obviously I'm not going to give the level of detail in it. But the point is to introduce people to the concepts. Most people are not aware that there are four major styles in filmmaking. Most people have never even heard the terms. terms. I won't tell you now because they don't even sound like English. But they're the 4 main styles of filmmaking. And all filmmakers need to understand what their priorities are based upon who their target audience is and what their goals are in the film.
Do you have a dream, David, you'd like to complete on your bucket list?
Oh, he sure does.
I do, actually, and it might be a little odd, but it's not like, my own sitcom I'm starting. If that floats, great. But I would really love to see some of these youngsters. And I'm retired. My life's set. It's not going to change much if, I see these 20, 30-year-olds, and I look at them and think, I got some in my thing, man, if we could change your life, give you a career in the arts, I would sit back and toast that. That would be great, It would, it's really, I was in the music business. I didn't make any money, but anyone who's a performer, you just love that. It's a bad day on the stage is better than a great day, in the office.
Right.
So if you could give that to any of these people, and I don't care if it's in front or behind the camera, like if you're a cameraman,
sure,
give them that dream, and that would be great.
There's got to be friction on the downside of the industry. There's got to be friction between the initial writer, because when you write, it's your visions that you're writing, and that's your book. Someone reads it, they have their visions,
yes,
and their magic when they're reading the book.
Yes.
Now the screenplay writer has got to transfer it as the writer wrote the darn thing, as close as the writer would want it, and put it to film. Put it up there on that dirty big screen, right?
Yeah, well, film has its own rules. We usually look at what we call a 3-act structure, and that is very different from a novel, because a novel can go back and forth in time, can narrate, can be in different points of view,
right.
A lot of different things that a novel can do that a screenplay generally tries to avoid doing.
Mm-hmm.
So in screenplay, you really want to master the art of cinematic storytelling, which is basically the visuals. In a novel, somebody can pick the book up, put it down at their leisure, go back.
Right.
So in a film, you really have to, there are different rules for storytelling. And I use the word rules in quotes, but there are different conventions that make a film work versus what would work in a novel. And that's something that students need to learn and understand and master the craft.
Right. And that is a craft.
It is a craft.
Is that just,
The painful thing for a screenwriter is that a playwright is God. The playwright writes a play. It's published. The actors are not allowed to change the word without writing for permission to the author. In a screenplay, you're almost a work for hire. You basically are writing a blueprint for the movie. The director can change things. Actors change things. Editors change things. The studio changes things. So as a writer in a screenplay, once you've been paid, you're history. There are some cases where the director respects you enough and wants you on the set. Most cases, they say they don't want the writer there because they know they're going to make changes. So it's a very painful business.
Well, that's it. And I was getting at the fact that that's not what I was trying to get across. That's not what I wrote.
Right.
Now, are many writers on the set on the bigger movies?
Very rarely.
So they're not there, guiding or...
Nope, they're not. In some cases, what was the movie?
What do they do? They actually sign a release, do they, from the book to whoever makes the movie?
You sign away everything.
Okay.
As a screenwriter.
You sign away everything.
Yeah, you have no rights. I was just trying to think what movie I was just talking about where they were giving them pages the day before.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, there's, every situation's different, right?
Right.
So I think it was Die Hard, actually. It was Die Hard. Yeah, they were. The writer. It had come from a book.
Mm-hmm.
A screenwriter had rewritten the book, turned it into a screenplay, and then someone else came in and rewrote it. And then they were rewriting pages every day the day before. So they were. I think the screenwriter was ahead by one day. What they were shooting, which is like a nightmare because there's so much that's involved in that. So
wow, there you go.
Yeah, talk about pressure, right?
Yeah,
interesting. Now, just out on left field for one thing, a little, but it affects you too, Laurie. I don't know about you, David, on this one, but animals are a big thing to you, Genie.
Oh, yeah.
You're also, other than being the president of the IFA and running other things in your life, you very much. Love animals to the extent where you're starting something up very special, aren't you, in the new year?
Yes, I am. It's a program called Animal Consciousness Institute. And our position is that animals have thoughts, feelings, emotions. And then when humans respect that, it changes everything in our relationship. So there's been a long time, that people thought that humans needed to dominate animals, that they just had to get the horse to do what they wanted or whatever. And I understand that there's, fields where, racing or whatever, where you have to do that. But for the most part, I'm very interested in developing a deeper connection with animals, literally where we can communicate with them and they can communicate with us. So we had a situation, I can't get into all the legal details, but we had a very daring horse rescue, and we had 9 horses that were, and Laurie doesn't want to hear any of that bad stuff, so I'm just going to say it was a very bad situation, and I needed to communicate to the horses and let them know what was happening, that we were coming to get them, and even though we couldn't get in to see them, to get them out, they were locked up and all sorts of bad things. But I needed to let them know what was happening, so that, because we only had a very short window to get them actually out of this bad situation and into freedom. So we had to get 9 horses to load into a trailer, 9 horses that are not used to being loaded into trailers. Okay, and we had to do this, and we did it in 17 minutes. We got 9 horses
Hell of a job.
into trailers and into a safe environment where they're running free now, and they're very happy.
That's great.
Laurie and I are going to go give them some carrots after.
So are you going to lean towards animal movies, do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I have a couple of TV ideas. In fact, I
Right.
won first place in the UA TV pitch writing contest on a story called The Secret Life of Animals. And it's all about working with animals in this deeper way.
Ah, fabulous. Look forward to that then.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to, what I'd like to do is getting close to closing the show, I'd like to ask each of you, and it's really a career scenario because we're in the arts. But if you go back, David, let's start with you. You go right back out of college, whatever. You loved your music. You play in the garage with 3 other buddies. What was your band called, by the way?
The last one was ESX.
Who's Sex?
ESX.
ESX.
We were originally called Enigma, and then a guy in France put a Gregorian chant that went worldwide,
Yes.
and his band was Enigma.
So, yeah, right. I can do that.
The reason it was ESX.
I thought you said NXS for a minute because,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
they're Aussies. You know that, right? Yeah. If you had it all over again and you could wave the magic wand today, seriously,
I can.
What would you advise anybody listening who may have a feeling towards the arts or music, which is in the arts, of course, but
I had 2 things said to me in my music career. One was from a guy I didn't even know was a drummer. I was an avid tennis player back in college. I met him in a bar just one night. He told me he's a drummer, studio drummer out in New York City. He said he'd been there doing that 12 years, only about 6. He's been last 6 making a living. And he said something every artist should. He said, your competition, it's not the band down the street playing the other bar. If you're trying to make it, it's the Rolling Stones. He started spitting all these Led Zeppelin. And, you think about that, and this is what I tell people that come act for me, we're trying to be on a world stage. So this isn't going to just be sitting on your, show to your grandchildren. If you want to make it, you got to look at, what's the top comedy right now? Watch that. See what they're doing. What's their dialogue? How are they presenting it? The timings. So it's, like Gene said, learn your craft. But learn your craft, and I said, aim high. If you're going to do it, you got to aim high. We probably didn't do that when we were. Well, I know I didn't do it as a musician. If I write a song today, I do that. When songs I write today have so much more thought.
So if you're going to do it, do it right and go for it.
Yeah, and then one other thing I was told by an engineer in a recording studio. He also did our live sound, so he knew us pretty well. He said, "Do you remember one thing? Just because you came up with it doesn't mean it's good." Which means get second opinions and really. I had it established with my writing partner, and that was what we would do. I would send him something. If he said it wasn't any good, then I'd go back and change. Same thing with him. If he played a solo on his guitar and sent it to me, I'd say, bar 8 through 9, forget that. Oh, and it was no argument. You just said, okay, I respect your opinion.
Right.
And that's really what you need. You need that person you can trust, but trust them enough to say, all right, I guess I'm wrong. That's hard.
Yeah, to admit that you're wrong, isn't it? You got to leave your egos at the front door, isn't it? When you're working together in the teamwork, it comes in whether it's music and bands or
it doesn't matter. I mean, as a contractor, I worked with subcontractors building houses. And there's So,
well, I wish you luck, David. You're on the board, and let's hope your sets are better than things I've ever worked in. I'll tell you, make sure no one falls through the floor on them. Laurie, book writer and successful health and wellness coach, and so on and so on. You look back at your career. You're just coming out of college. Which road, if anything at all, would you have taken if you had it all over again?
First thing that comes to mind, I would say to follow your heart. If this is what you truly, truly want to do from the bottom of your soul, go for it. And find a mentor, somebody that you can talk with who will guide you along the way. I think that is so important. And keep educating yourself. That is first and foremost. Education,
Right.
education. You cannot get enough of it. Hone your craft as best as you can do. As I say in my book, one step at a time. If you're an actress, as I still am plugging along because I enjoy it so much.
Now, I want to ask you a question there. Is it now actor, being regardless that you're female?
Yeah.
Or is it
Yes.
actress?
It really is actor.
It's actor.
It's changed now, hasn't it? It used to be actors.
You're
right?
right.
Used to
That's
say
showing
actress.
my age here.
That's all right. Hey, that's right. I said it the other day and someone corrected me and I thought, oh, that's right.
You
You
are
don't say
exactly
that
right.
anymore.
It's
It's just something you don't
actor.
think of. So,
That's right.
So because you hear a lot of stories, kids go to college, they don't know what the hell they want to do yet. They're not sure, but they're doing this, doing that, and and they do these degrees and they come out and they do something absolutely nothing that they studied for or did anything else. But if you had it all over again, having the decision to know what you want to do.
So very important because I actually started off as a ballet dancer when I was 8 years old. I danced professionally for a while and then did some theater. And that actually, the dancing got me into health and fitness. So now what's great about all of that background is I'm trying to put it all together.
Yeah, it's come back full circle,
It's
hasn't
come
it?
back full circle.
My word.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? A ballet dancer, huh? Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
Not belly dancer, as I saw in the
Not
paper
ballet,
the
but ballet.
other day. Ballet.
Ballet.
You're not going to escape, Genie Joseph. Come on.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, can I have 3 pieces of advice?
You're the president. Come on.
Well, I'll give you 3 pieces of advice, none of which I followed.
Oh, all right. But
All right.
you've got 2 minutes to do them in, though.
Okay. So the first one, Jack Nicholson was once asked what's the most important skill an actor can have, and he said focus. So I'm going to say focus is the most important thing, is that what you love, like Laurie said, with your heart. We do this, she's doing the sign, we do this in class. This is the American Sign Language sign for focus.
Okay.
It's all about focus, and this is very much about what an actor needs, what a director needs, what an editor needs. It's all about really not letting all the distractions of life get in the way of your art. So this is really important. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is, as Laurie was saying, to study, that really pay attention to the genre you're most interested in. When I got my master's in screenwriting, one of our teachers said to us, until you've read 1,000 screenplays, you haven't read anything. So that is a lot, you know what I mean? And everyone in the room.
Good Lord. Yeah, 1,000 screenplays.
Yeah, and this is nothing, a good studio reader will read 1,000 in a year,
Okay.
Yeah. So, I read, like I said, 100 a season, you know what I mean? So, but it's a lot. You really have to immerse. So like Dave was saying, if you want to write comedy, you got to be watching the comedies that you love and the ones that you don't love too, because you need to see the different range of style. So the third thing is to make it smaller. Is to have a simple goal, like Laurie said, start with a simple, small step. Get out there and make a great 1-minute film.
All right, that's my goal now. You've sold me. 1-minute film.
Yes.
Mate, turn the camera on, race around the other end of the table, and it's done.
But you probably have to trip over the cat to make it worth something to watch.
There you go.
Put some vaudeville in.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, our new project, we have a lot of vaudeville, so we do a lot of physical comedy.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, that's amazing. Well, I hope you got something out of that, because at the end of the day, it is about business, and Tucson means business. And the IFA certainly means business, because when they become successful at what they're doing, that permeates right through a city, both financially and spiritually. And it's just good for people to leave beautiful Tucson but come back again successful. But you need to be trained and do it all here first. My guest today in this wonderful show today is featuring the IFA and their new board. But we had today the president, Genie Joseph, the president of the IFA. Thank you, Genie, for coming on.
Thank you.
Oh.
We had another board member in Laurie, Rein. Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you for having me.
And a brand new board member who has just started with them, David Gramling. Right, David?
Thank you. Yes.
All righty. And it's been a great show. Thanks for taking time out. And hopefully everything goes big guns for you. What do we say? Break a leg.
There we go.
Break a leg.